Alright, so yesterday we got the news that Jaime Munguia had failed a VADA test. It's not the terminology VADA used, they say adverse analytical finding. Essentially, that's what it is. That's essentially what it is. And, you know, it's happening too much. And I guess you could say that VADA, it's a good thing because VADA are catching them. I guess you could say that, but at the same time, you look at the people who are getting caught and you say, for every one who's getting caught, how many are just slipping through the radar? And when I say that as if it's a small number, it's probably not. It's probably an astronomical number, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think questions need to be asked, not just of the testing process and how some of these guys, because it seems to me it's quite apparent that there are ways to circumvent these tests and to again, I'm not speaking from someone who's an insider or anything like that, but you hear people say and comment that if you do end up getting popped, you're a monumental idiot, it's this, that and the other, essentially kind of saying that in theory it should be very easy to pass these PED tests with VADA or UCAT in the UK, WADA if they ever get involved, etc. There's just many different drug testing organizations, but we need something to be done because there's clearly a problem and questions need to be asked. And at the end of the day, right, you're talking about a fighter in Jaime Munguia. And to be fair, I will say one thing. He didn't fight like someone who was on the you-know-what. He didn't. It was a decent performance against Bruno Sars, but didn't set the world alight, given the fact he was knocked out a couple of months prior. But it does still make you want to ask questions, certainly about what's going on inside Eddie Reynoso's camp. Because that's not the first fighter who has been associated with Eddie Reynoso or has been in his team, Canelo in 2018, with the tainted beef, that has had issues. And again, these are just ones that I remember. There could be more, but it's not just Eddie Reynoso. You go to the UK, remember the Ingles Pringles a couple of years ago? We all remember that. I know Conor Benn, for obviously those two tests that he failed back in 22, was with Tony Sims, and a lot of people questioned that gym as well because you had a lot of fighters having really good performances and then not having really any good performances. So there's a lot of questions going around there. And obviously there's got to be something. Johnny Nelson actually, I think it was in December time with Boxing King Media, where he talked about knowing for a fact that there were several boxers he has known in the past and are currently on silent bans. So that's something that happens in the UK. Where's the boxing with this kind of crap doesn't do itself any favours. It really doesn't. And I guess this isn't me having a video and having a go at Jaime Munguia, although he has come out and proclaimed his innocence as you would expect. But I think it's me just being extremely frustrated with how it's handled, how fighters failing PED tests are handled. I did Addy and G-Man last night. We talked about this and we spoke about other sports like athletics, all right? We spoke about other sports like, primarily athletics, but you have athletes who failed tests back in the 2000s, 8-year ban. That's your career over in athletics. That's your career. It's done. It's over. It's finished. All right. You had an Olympian, I forget her name now again, something Richardson I think it was, or something like that, who tested positive for a bit of the old Bob Marley back in 2021, and she can't go to the Olympics. Instant. And that's a recreational drug. It's not something that's gonna, certainly not in something like sprinting. It's not gonna give you any advantage at all. It's gonna hinder you if anything else. But you get what I mean. And they're not playing around. Rio Ferdinand back in, was that? I forget, it might have been. I remember Rio Ferdinand, the United player. It was the year Arsenal went undefeated, I think, which was 03-04, I think. And he got like a year or something ban, and obviously that's football, but still, no one's hitting Rio Ferdinand. They're running in a straight line, and they're getting whacked with serious bans, right? In boxing, some fighters get 6 months, seriously. And if you're a top level fighter, you're fighting once, maybe twice a year anyway. What is that? That's nothing. That's absolute BS. That's nonsense. So how do you, if you're a fighter, right, and you think of it like this, right, because me and I spoke about purses, you think about it like this, right, you're like, right, I take the risk. If I win, I get bigger fights, and if I don't get caught, I get obviously bigger fights and I've got an advantage. If I lose, they might make it a no contest. They might not. There's certain fights there. When you look at David Price's record, there's losses on there where the guys have taken PEDs and have been, they've tested positive, and they're still there, official losses. I think one of them's been changed to a no contest, but the rest of them have, or not say all of them, but you know what I mean, some of them, Povetkin and Tony Thompson and etc. etc. But they're thinking like, all right, if the win stays, if I get my purse, if I can go again in 6 months, I wasn't going to go again for 8 months anyway. So there you go. No real punishment. A year? Well, I fight once a year anyway. Even if I had won this fight, even if I hadn't have been popped, I wouldn't be fighting until May next year. Or, you know what I mean? In the case of Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia tested positive for Osterine, and this guy literally made his return the same day Devin Haney, who was the victim in all this, made his return. And still Devin Haney was seen as the bad guy. For what? Trying to sue Ryan Garcia? For trying to sue him for cheating in a sport where you're going to get physically assaulted? What's the problem? It's mental. It really is. And I understand both sides of the argument, because there is an argument to say, do you know what? Just let them do what they want. Because if you try and police it, you're never going to be able to, because some will have more money, they'll have better masking agencies, they'll have more sway with testing agencies, with sanctioning bodies. Like, if you see Canelo, when the whole tainted beef thing came out, the WBA and the BBC, like that, they were like, no, he's fine, he's perfect. Canelo would never do that, right? You see that straight away, right? And with Conor Benn, for example, he had his reason why the whatever it was, I can't remember what the name of the thing was now, was in his system. And the WBC were like, well, that's what you say it's in, but we don't think it is this. It's like, what? And for that reason, some people would say, just let them do what they want. Let them have whatever they want. Because at the end of the day, it's more often that the A side's going to have a slight advantage getting away with it anyway. I get that argument, but I still think it needs to be a clean sport. You need to lead by example in boxing. And we're not doing that. And we're not deterring these fighters from anything. Ade spoke about potentially withholding the purse, which I like that concept, but some of these test results don't get let public until long after the fact, right? So probably already got paid. I think it needs to be like, when I say a fine, I mean a flipping hefty fine. Like, I mean, whatever your purse is, so say your purse is 2 million, the fine is your purse. You pay us that purse. The 2 million pounds or dollars you got, you pay us that back, plus an 18-month ban for first offence, 2 years for the second offence, and it just goes up and up and up. We have guys like Jarrell Miller, who his nickname isn't Big Farmer Miller, but that's why I call him it, for the simple reason that he has been found not just, with like an over-the-counter supplement or something like that that's on the banned list, but it's also, in an energy drink or something like that, that you can kind of look and say, you should be doing your due diligence, but I can see, this man had HGH in him and he's still competing. And although me as a selfish fan does enjoy seeing him, at the end of the day, this is a guy who has cheated his way pretty much throughout the course of his career. Man's getting on Saudi shows. Man could have been having a stadium fight with Fabio Wardley next week. It's ridiculous. Povetkin was basically cheating the whole way through his career. It's only at the end of his career when he's retired, long retired, they're like, oh yeah, Povetkin was basically a massive cheat the whole way through his career. Okay, where's the recourse? Where's the recourse? There's none. There's just none. It's a joke. So they need to do something, and questions do need to be asked, because I think something needs to change. It really does. And again, I get the argument for just let them do what they want. I'm not gonna listen. I'm open to listening to that. I don't agree with it, but I can definitely make a case. I can understand you making a case for it. Yeah, I can, because if you think about it, if it's like, if you're struggling to police the rules, then why just why keep the rules? So I get it. Those are my thoughts on everything. Let me know yours in the comment section below. It's a very touchy subject, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, as always, smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Until next time, peace.